You know, sometimes with these suspects, these are people that they kind of keep an eye on, and he is stuck in traffic right now, northbound out Balboa. So it's not clear at this point if they just scanned his plates as they were driving by and they had a warrant out for this guy, or if this was someone that they were monitoring. We don't have that information yet, but LAPD is in pursuit. Zoom out here and see if we have any units. They did have some units there. You see one of the SUVs just behind him, and he is hitting some traffic, as I suspected, because I've hit it many times myself, as he approaches the Orange Line busway. Now coming back around, yeah, we are in the Lake Balboa area, now coming back around southbound on Balboa Boulevard, back towards the 101. So again, this started around Victory and Winnetka, right by Pierce College, and he was west in the San Fernando Valley, got off at Topanga, and he decided to double back over to the 101. At one point, he was driving on the right shoulder to try to avoid a LAPD. You know, sometimes I know we talk about the pursuit traffic and how some of these suspects get really fortunate hitting some wide open freeways at rush hour. Not the case today. To evade authorities, he had to drive on the right shoulder at one point eastbound on the 101. And as you can see now, pretty desperate situation as he's been kind of doubling back. Every time he gets in traffic, he seems to take another move to try to evade him. But again, they do believe that this suspect is armed. It's the passenger that they are interested in right now. Of course, the driver would be an accessory to all this at this point. And LAPD, from what I've been hearing, they are not afraid to use deadly force in this incident if it comes down to it, Pat and Jeff.
Yeah, you talk about deadly forces because that murder suspect is armed, we do believe. Now, this is a larger vehicle. This is going to be a full-size Dodge Ram pickup truck, Pat, so you wonder if they're going to be able to pit maneuver something like that if it comes down to it.
Well, I bet they have a way of doing something like that for sure, because they've got larger vehicles as well. You know, it's interesting to me in a way, Desmond, just wondering even about this vehicle. There's a lot of are we in traffic, or did this driver just stop on his own?
Yeah, we are in some traffic here. We're
right
back at the 101 freeway here, southbound on Balboa. So he's kind of pinned in at this point, but this is, you know, when it gets very tense for LAPD, is they do suspect that this guy is armed, and because he is a murder suspect, very, very tense situation. But yeah, Jeff, you know, fortunately these new SUVs that LAPD have, they're very, very capable of doing a pit maneuver. You know, if it would have been one of the older Crown Victorias, that may have been more of a concern. But I think with their SUVs that they have here, a lot of added extra horsepower, it should not be a problem for them. We're now getting back southbound on the 101. So after exiting the freeway, decided to get back on the freeway, and we are southbound from Balboa as we leave Encino. He's going to have a bit of an open freeway till he gets to the 405. And then that's always a congested section as eastbound as he comes away from the 405, headed through Sherman Oaks and towards the 134. The eastbound 101 pretty much clogged up all afternoon, and no exception today.
This is really the height of rush hour right now. We're talking about 5 o'clock, the 101, and that's the reason why we initially saw him get off the 101.
And the 405 is going to be jammed too. Yeah. Of course, though, Desmond, you've been talking about this driver going on surface streets as well. So who knows? He could take a service drive. I was just, when I was earlier, I was talking to Jeff about this, about the pickup truck itself, all the stuff in the back of the truck, and you know, makes me wonder a little bit, was this his vehicle, or was this possibly a stolen vehicle? Don't know that for sure.
Yeah, you think something like this might be a contractor or something like that. Somebody uses this vehicle for work. There's a big toolbox in the back. This is a larger, older pickup truck. Again, there's 2 individuals inside this pickup. One, the passenger is wanted for murder, and the driver is what Desmond said, being an accessory at this point in time.
Hey, Desmond, do we know about any other threats to people from what we've seen, or drivers? He's been making some moves on the wrong side and making U-turns and things of that nature, but as far as really driving erratically or using his vehicle as a possible weapon, have you noticed anything like that?
I wouldn't say using the vehicle as a weapon. It looked like he came pretty close to clipping a few vehicles there on Balboa, and he was driving on the right shoulder at one point. I did hear LAPD mention that they saw the passenger reaching into his waistband earlier. So again, a very tense situation here for LAPD. When you hear details like that, that came from the LAPD chopper that is overhead. They were able to peer inside and see that movement there from the passenger. Again, that is the person who is wanted for, you know, suspected of murder. We are eastbound on the 101 here, getting ready to hit the 405. That's going to be the Haskell off-ramp. So this is, as I said, where he's going to drive into a clogged freeway and see what his move is going to be next if he opts for the southbound 405. Really, any freeway he opts for at this point is going to be congested the North 405 coming away from the 101 is always pretty tough getting into Van Nuys. Southbound 405 is going to be awful by the time he gets into West LA. And the eastbound 101, you know, as I look ahead, it's not completely locked up. It's definitely slow. It looks like he is going to be going for the 405. Yeah, he just took the option now for the southbound side of the 405. So now as we get through the Sherman Oaks area, we'll see if he decides to climb the Sepulveda Pass or if he exits at Ventura Boulevard. Again, another area that is very congested this time of the afternoon.
The southbound 405 would be more congested at this point in time than the northbound. But, you know, when
sure.
somebody's doing something like this, you don't know what they're actually thinking, and they're probably pretty desperate and just doing whatever they can.
And, you know, when Desmond mentioned that he had passed Haskell, I was thinking even if he took that exit, he would run into Ventura Boulevard, which is still going to be packed at this hour, and even the service drive on Sepulveda, I would think. Obviously not as much as the freeway itself, as the 405 going south, but still, most people will take that artery of Sepulveda to try to avoid the traffic. But so far, this guy isn't doing that, is he, Desmond? He's still on, he's on the southbound 405. Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, southbound on the 405 now climbing the Sepulveda Pass. Looks like he's staying to the right, and I'll zoom out and show you here. Southbound is going to be deceptively fine until he gets down to the other side of the pass, and then that drive generally jams up in the afternoon around Wilshire or Santa Monica Boulevard. And then, you know, if he's trying to evade traffic, then he's, you know, if we're going to theorize here, do a little armchair pursuit work, I would say he's going to take this down into West LA, and then if he wants to stay out of traffic, he's going to have to get off on some surface streets. Of course, a lot of streets in West LA pretty much gridlocked at this time of the afternoon now, but if he's going to double back again, he's going to be in some very heavy traffic. I'll zoom out and show you, just you can see northbound is stop and go. It's always one of the most frustrating rides of the afternoon, that northbound side of the 405. But right now he is, or northbound I should say, southbound is where he is right now. Southbound approaching Mulholland Skirball Center, climbing the Sepulveda Pass, and very little traffic now. Some really bad news for us guys, and I was kind of afraid of this. There is a huge layer of clouds up ahead that we are not going to be able to go through. So let's see what he decides to do. But if he continues on this into West LA, this is going to be very problematic for us.
Yeah, giving the commuters a big eyeful for the afternoon commuters. That one side of the southbound 405 is relatively clear. And
that's pretty surprising at this hour, that's for sure. Even it seems to jam up around Skirball Center and stays backed up until you get to, and even at Wilshire. So this is very interesting indeed. Can you tell us what it looks like up ahead of this vehicle while you can, Desmond?
Yeah, as far as traffic, for him, traffic is fine, but clouds for us are is going to be the problem here. You're going to start to see the clouds coming into our shot. Looks like he's passing a school bus here. I'll just kind of tilt up and show you here really. Wow. Actually, I don't want to let him get out of the shot. It looks like we may be able to get about halfway into the Sepulveda Pass for this, and then we may have to get off of this chase, unfortunately. We'll see. He could still exit at Skirball Center. And if that was the case, he would end up on Sepulveda Boulevard. But we'll just have to see. He's going to be coming up to the new Skirball off-ramp, and he's going to continue past that now at this point. So he's now committed to going into West LA. Next will be Getty Center Drive. You see the LAPD chopper right overhead over him like a hawk, and they are going to do their best to stay on this. And we're actually, we're okay right now. Go ahead, Pat.
Desmond, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when have you ever seen traffic like this on the southbound 405? Where I asked you to open up your shot, I don't see anybody except this driver.
Not even Sunday morning.
Yeah, there's
Do
actually.
You think there's some police work ahead?
Yeah, no, it's pretty confounding. I know, I was thinking, like, are they holding traffic on the off-ramps? But they're not. I'm looking down at the Skirball on-ramp, and people could get on the freeway right now. But this is miraculously wide open. This is not the volume side in the afternoon, but it's incredibly rare that it's this wide open. It's completely empty at this point. So, you know, once again, it's just one of these events. It's so perplexing how these suspects seem to get really lucky with the routes they choose. But that is going to change. I can guarantee you once if he continues into the clouds, and now I can show you the clouds up ahead.
Yeah, you can see
if he continues down into West LA, if he continues down into West LA, he will hit traffic down around Wilshire Boulevard.
I tell you what, it could be 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday on the 405,
and you still
it's a
have more
parking
traffic
lot.
than this. That's right. Well, Desmond, we certainly want you to be safe in terms of your maneuverings up there with those clouds. I'm just wondering, I mean, obviously he also has an opportunity to take an exit and go on surface streets if it gets jammed up, as it does on the freeway ahead. It's still amazing to me, though. Look at that. It's still not that many vehicles on the road.
Yeah, you can see a lot of the clouds. Now, what's really interesting, this is going to be a tense situation once police end this pursuit, because this is an armed suspect, they believe, wanted for murder in the passenger seat of this older Dodge pickup truck, and the driver and accessory to this was making all these moves in the southbound 405. And Pat, at one point in time, I think I saw like 6 police cruisers behind the vehicle. Well,
and that's interesting, too. I asked the question about has he made any desperate moves in terms of using his vehicle as a possible weapon, only because, considering this person is a murder suspect, trying to get away from police, but really probably knowing, well, I'm not going to be able to do that. And though there are those clouds, so we are going to be losing Desmond's shot pretty soon there. But if you look on the right side of your screen, that's a shot from earlier. I would say about maybe 15, 20 minutes ago.
I think that's Encino, the surface streets there. They mentioned that he went up on the shoulder at one point in time, even up onto a sidewalk to avoid the traffic, which he was experiencing at that point in time on those surface streets.
Yeah, now see how the traffic is there on the 101, that's for sure. And he made another turn, a U-turn, in fact. We witnessed him doing that on Balboa Boulevard and got back on the southbound 101 freeway and then exited the 405, which is apparently where he is now traveling southbound. But we are unable to show you that because of that deep cloud cover that's on the west side right now. But, you know, the CHP, LAPD, they're still behind this car, so they're going to stay on top of this.
And how often do you hear about no traffic on the 405 and cloud cover like this
southbound
in the afternoon?
All right. Well, talking about cloud cover, let's bring in Garth Kemp right now so he can fill us in on the conditions.
Yeah, well, we continue to pick up quite a bit of marine layer, actually, you guys. We're getting probably 2,500 feet last night. We're going to see the same. This is our camera right now. It's a beautiful shot. That's actually, Mulholland by Laurel Canyon, shooting down just over by Fryman Canyon. So that's what we're watching for right now. 70 degrees is what we're looking at. You can see it already pushing itself in the downtown Los Angeles as well. So it is definitely more like a May kind of weather pattern for us today. Very interesting that a low ceiling like that the copters can't get through that way. 70 degrees right now, winds out of the west at 8, humidity 76%, 90 in San Bernardino. They're clear of all that. 73 out towards Burbank, so it's starting to propagate itself into the San Fernando Valley slowly. Just a great day yet again for us today. 77, we are 8 degrees below normal. Big trough of low pressure, a center of a low and a trough associated way up here, just south of the Aleutian Islands. That's going to change our weather next week. But before then, we're dealing with a series of troughs that are just moving through a high pressure area that's going to get ready to move towards the area. But you can see the marine layer already starting to filter in through the area across the basin. That's why the problem over by the 405 there. And this is what it looks like with the overcast tonight. By 11:30 tonight, we fill it all back in again. Starts to creep into the IE, not totally there, but it moves there. By about 1:30, we'll see more thicker clouds down through the basin. The wider that is, the thicker the cloud cover. So I think we see about the same, maybe a tiny bit thinner in some of the interior areas, but not much. We'll see a decent burn off. Then Thursday night, Friday morning, we will start to pick it all back up again, but we'll start to shrink it towards the interior areas as the low kicks out. Same thing, the high will build in from the south-southwest. There it is, moves in through the area as we go Thursday.